Hey guys, welcome to GutterCon. And same thing I just wanted to say about Bren. It's pretty awesome to start a conference from scratch. I can't imagine like what that takes to convince everyone to fly here from, into Colorado. Pretty impressive. So another round for Bren. So Bren had me here today to talk about CRMs and business automation, which is what I do with my business, Ready Business Systems. I have a little scan QR code here on the bottom here. I don't know if you can do it with your phone, but these links are also in the app. I put them in the links on the app there. What I have on this link here is I have a Guide to Freedom ebook, which is kind of like a digital download. You put in your email address. It's just kind of a bunch of tips that I picked up over years of running a service business. How to run it efficiently, tips on marketing, that sort of thing. There's also a pricing worksheet. Something I struggled on for a long time was pricing my jobs. Like John was saying, you don't want to just compete on the market and have the cheapest price, and then at the end of the day, be working all these hours not making money. So that's something I personally struggled on quite a bit. So I have a pricing worksheet to kind of help me wrap my head around pricing my services. There's also an employee handbook in there, just kind of a template. It's actually built off of, I went and saw a consultant years ago, and it's kind of built off of that. And I kind of extended on it, but it's kind of a template that, again, you can build onto it. So if you fill that out, download them, and then I'll send you some spam. I added a bunch of slides to here. I thought it was going to be too short. Now it might be too long, but I guess we'll see what happens. So a little bit about myself. I live with my partner, Ashley, our 3-year-old daughter, Callie. I'm a licensed realtor, kind of by mistake that ended up happening. I got a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from URI in 2008, but I actually never ended up using it. It was during the whole economy crash, so I never ended up using it. I have 3 businesses at the moment. One is 855RI Lawns. We do landscaping. We actually do a little bit of some gutter cleaning, actually. I've been doing that like my whole life. Like John said, I didn't list on here as well, but I ran a painting franchise, College Pro Painters, for a while. And then my brother and I started up a painting company, Two Brothers Painting, which he's still running, but I'm no longer involved in. So Yorktown Realty, we do property rentals, and then Ready Business Systems is obviously what I'm here for today, for business automation technology. A little bit about myself as well, some hobbies. I play volleyball. I kiteboard. If you guys aren't familiar with that, it's like the best sport in the world, so I'd recommend trying if you're interested. But I tried it once. I took some lessons. I got addicted, but it's so much fun. But it's a little distracting because you're always thinking about the wind's doing, and then you plan your day around it. But it's really fun. I mountain bike. I spearfish. And I've been working on getting my pilot's license recently, which I'm really excited about. It's a lot of fun, very challenging, and there's a lot to learn, so I like that. I also started riding this one wheel. Have you guys seen those? Those little one-wheel things are a lot of fun, but I've fallen on it twice and it kind of hurt. So this is my mom. I sent her this PowerPoint, and she said, "Why aren't I on there?" So. This is my mom. I'm from Rhode Island, so a lot of people know what that is, especially as I lived in California for a little while, and people didn't even realize that it's actually like a state. So I figured I'd clarify it here. It's that little state, we're an hour and a half south of Boston, about 3 hours from New York. But it is a state. Who said that? Narragansett? Yeah. I live in Newport. On the little peninsula there. So Ready Business Systems, I started doing this a few years ago, and like I said, we do business automation technology. I put here, it's for companies that do $1 to $10 million in sales. We work with smaller companies. It just seems to be the type of companies that we attract that have like the funds to work with to hire people, but I work with smaller companies as well. We do CRM setup and training, so I know a lot of guys here work with Jobber. We work with Service Autopilot, LMN, and RealGreen. Within Service Autopilot, we have a few what they call them as automations, and I'll get more into that later, but they're essentially, you can automate a lot of different things in your business. Like, for example, following up on estimates. If you just send them out and you're not following up on them, you're losing a lot of business because most people get it, forget about it. You're taking all the time, you're spending the money to market it, you might as well follow up on that, on your estimates. There's also what we call as a customer service automation, which when you're busy this time of the year, crazy running around, it will follow up with your customers for you. So you probably don't have the time to call Miss Jones in May when things are crazy, but these automations will reach out to them, check in, see how things are going, and they actually think that it's like a personal reach out, and it's amazing the response you get from it. We also do financials, so payments, your credit cards expire, your payments overdue, all that stuff that just takes up a lot of time. This systemizes and automates. Scheduling as well, so when we dispatch a job, we can let customers know that, hey, we're coming out. People like to know when you're coming. And then marketing, obviously. So all throughout the year, we have marketing automations that will send each month different themes, promote different things, send out postcards. It's really crazy. The stuff John was talking about, the ringless voicemails, the text messaging, all that stuff can be automated. You build it once, and then it just goes out year round. So it's pretty awesome stuff. We also do a phone system. There we go. So we have the phone number 855-RI Lawns, and the reason I started doing that was because I got sick and tired when I started out. My phone was my company number, and customers would reach out to me any time of the year, any time of the day, weekends, and I didn't want to take all those calls, so I actually ported my number out. We got this phone number, which is easy to remember, so it works well with marketing. We put it up on all of our marketing material, our yard signs. They can just drive down the street. You're not going to forget that number. It does routing, so as your business grows, you can route different calls to your admin, your manager, wherever you need them to go. And then, of course, I got my freedom back from my phone, so I'm not getting calls random times of the day. We also use software called SendJim, which they handle some of that ringless voicemail. SendJim integrates with a lot of CRMs. They'll send out postcards, they send out gifts, the ringless voicemails. They do work with Jobber and Service Autopilot as well, but it's some really cool software. This is just an example here of some of the stuff they send. So they'll do like I said, the postcards, the mail letters, greeting cards, and there's the voicemail bomb, that's the ringless voicemails. And then the little image next to that is like little brownies or something they'll actually mail out. Deepline I just mentioned here because I actually just spoke with him last week, and they do a virtual remote measuring tool, and if you guys are interested, there's a lot of interest, you can build that out where you can measure the gutters. People just go to your website, put in the address, and then it will spit out the linear footage of the gutters, which you can then use for estimates. So he's doing that for Service Autopilot with lawn companies, so if you guys are interested, that's something that he'd do want to set up. Blogging, social media, SEO, all that kind of goes together. We handle that stuff. And Facebook marketing. Last year, we were running this ad because we needed help, and we got a bunch of employees from there. So Facebook marketing definitely works in different areas. Our team at RBS, so Steve's awesome. I just hired him this year, actually, but he was my admin for my landscaping company years ago. He's awesome. He's been helping with the sales, marketing. Myself, obviously. Robert Kane has been doing it since I started. He also consults with clients. Sharon does some of the blogs, some of the website content, website design. Jonathan does same thing, Google AdWords, website design, website hosting. So like John was saying about having a fast website, that's super important, and nowadays it's one of the most important criteria in terms of SEO. They want websites that load fast because if you're searching on Google, you click on a website, it's taking too long to load, you're going to close out. No one has any patience for anything these days. You definitely want a fast website. And then Owen handles the Facebook, Instagram marketing. So like I said, Brent invited me here. I met him through Metro Gutter, which is his gutter cleaning company in Canada. And then he was telling me about gutterexperts.com. So gutterexperts.com is his site for finding work and then sending it out to other gutter companies. He also wants to provide some services in terms of some of these automations I was just talking about that can possibly use for other companies as well, so providing some of those services. Some things I help Bren with much more gutter is some of these forms, and this isn't Service Autopilot. Bren is using Service Autopilot for his company. So these forms to help contact these customers, and then these are some of the automations that we've installed for them, the estimate follow-up, customer service. So again, this is stuff that could potentially be customized for the gutter companies and then downloaded into a bunch of different accounts. So some exciting stuff there. And Brian, you got a new estimate today. So this is how I used to run my company in 2014. I actually had to dig up this spreadsheet because it's old. And this is how I used to run. It's a spreadsheet, and I used to use remember these, the Palm Pilots? And it was, this was the techie thing back then, and I'd send the guys out with these, and they would, as they did the jobs, they would put in the dates here on the Palm Pilot, and then from there, I would copy and paste the stuff and put it on an invoice. So that's what it looked like, and it worked, and there's nothing wrong with it, but there's definitely better ways to do things. So now this is how I run it. This is, and I'm going to show some stuff in Jobber and in Service Autopilot to give you guys kind of a look at both. And there's obviously many other options out there. Like I said, I personally run my business in Service Autopilot, so I'm mostly focused on that. But this is what like a dispatch board looks like. So rather than the guys putting in dates, we can actually dispatch jobs to them on the computer, which they then can see on their mobile phones, which then goes on to invoices. So makes things much more efficient. This right here, and I don't know how clear you can see it, but this is inside of one of those automations I was discussing, but these are all processes, systems that are set up to run. So essentially, you can program your business. Once you have your processes down, you write them down, and then you can essentially program them to happen. So it's really, really cool once you get this stuff rolling. But this one here is, this is our estimate request, the different processes for the estimate request. So what happens, the customers are contacted, confirming they got the quote, the office is given a ticket to send the quote, et cetera, et cetera. So cool stuff. This one's the estimate follow-up that I was talking about. So these, after you send this estimate, until the status is changed to accepted or lost, it's going to keep counting those people down, trying to find out from them, do you want to move forward with the work or not? So that's a very powerful automation as well. And this one's that customer service automation. So this one sends out surveys after each service, and if they give a good review on that survey, 1 to 10, it will automatically ask them for a review online. It'll actually mail them a postcard asking them for a review. And if they give a bad review, it'll alert management to address it. And it can even we actually mail out an apology card, sorry, messed up. So it's pretty cool stuff. It also builds out your reference list because it creates a ticket letting the office know that, hey, this person's happy. They said we can add them to the reference list. So definitely very powerful. And this one's the marketing. I won't go crazy into this, but as you can tell, there's a lot going on here. And each month, like I said, there's email marketing going out, there's text messaging. It's pretty awesome stuff once it's set up and running. And then this is what I do while that's all running. Just kidding, but it does do a lot. It frees up a lot of time. So that all being said, what is a CRM? Probably a lot of you guys are familiar. Some of you maybe not. It's customer relationship management. So QuickBooks, which most people are familiar with, is a basic example of a CRM. It's basically a place to keep your customers' information, phone numbers, address, invoices, ways to keep track of your customers. QuickBooks is pretty basic. They do payroll and stuff now, but nowadays you can do a lot more stuff. Like I was showing a little bit of the invoicing, routing, emails, marketing, estimating, reporting. And then these third-party integrations. So I've been showing you internally. So Service Autopilot does all their automations internally. They do send some stuff out to SendGym and stuff, but the whole system to do the automations is internal. Other software like Jobber has a couple internal ones, which I'll brush on. But they also connect with third parties like Zapier, which does a million other things. You can basically do the same thing. But the biggest thing, the reason why I put it in bold here is that the functions of the CRMs are obviously awesome, but once you tie that together with automation, it's like this crazy, I like to say it kind of gives you superpowers because it's not like you do nothing, but you do one thing and then it does this whole chain of events. So it really gives you like superpowers that you can just shoot out things and all this stuff happens with very little effort. So generally speaking, CRMs are going to start with that contact form that you have on every page of your website, like John said, throughout your website. So that's generally where the customer experience starts. No matter where they find you, they're probably going to eventually go to Google, right? They've seen your name around, but they're probably going to go on Google, most people these days. So this is essentially where everything starts. All your traffic is getting directed to your website. And usually there's this contact form on there for the people to reach out to you. So the basic contact form is going to send you an email that's going to have the their information, and then you got to copy and paste it, do whatever with it. You're getting just email saying contact form filled out. But most CRMs these days will actually take that contact information and then they put it straight into an account. So that's just one little thing that saves a lot of time because there's no dual entry. Everything's seamless. The customer's taking their time and putting in their information so you don't have to. So it's a pretty cool feature that most have these days. The next step, obviously, after someone reaches out to you, the next logical thing is you're going to want to get in touch with them. So a lot of CRMs also will send out this communication. In this example, here's the account that was created in the last screen, and now maybe there's just an example here that you can't read that either. But thank you for your estimate request, kind of confirming that they requested a quote. The next step after that, they contact you. They want to know how much it's going to cost. So the next step is setting an estimate. Some software is pretty basic about this. Some is more in depth. It's going to pre-populate that information from the website, so you're not going to have to enter that again. And some software you can put in, for example, with Service Autopilot, you can put in the square footage, and it's going to spit out that price. So that saves a lot of time, obviously. It makes things also, you can send it out. People can do it all the same way. It standardizes everything, so you're not just guessing on how much it's going to cost to send out those getter quotes. So just an example of a proposal you can send out. This one's a Service Autopilot proposal, and this one's a jobber proposal. Next step is probably going to start talking about money, right? Some of the bigger jobs you might take deposits. So this is where a lot of the CRMs will do credit card processing, and those estimate follow-ups I was showing after quotes are sent. So this is an example of a ticket in Service Autopilot where the office has sent a task that the lead has accepted that proposal, and it's telling them to schedule the work. And this is an example of the payment processing, the charging all the cards in file, which obviously, that saves a lot of time versus check processing. It costs some money, but in my opinion, with the benefit of the cash flow and the faster cash flow and getting paid enough to chase people down, it's totally worth it. And this is just more of that dispatching and routing. A lot of these CRMs have this stuff, so you can not only put the jobs on a schedule, you can visually see them on a map, and a lot of them have the built-in routing features. You can put them in driving order, so it keeps things nice, efficient, and tight. This is a screenshot of the mobile app. This one's a Service Autopilot app. So everything that's on this dispatch board now, the crews can see it right on their mobile phone. So, versus sending them out with a piece of paper and the route on there, they're gonna be able to see their schedule right on their phone. And then this is the jobber version of that. Usually, generally speaking, jobber works better, but it does less, and I'll get more into that. Lastly, the job's completed, so this same workflow. So like all from the very beginning, the leads come in the system, they put in their information, everything connects together. So once this job's completed, it's then going to go straight onto the invoice. So there's no creating invoices, which also saves a ton of time. So that's going from the mobile app onto the invoice and billing the customer, and then obviously you get paid. So reporting, a lot of CRMs do reporting, so keeping track of that stuff, you want to make sure you're making money. And the same stuff John was talking about, number of leads, number of new clients, your closing rate, same type of stuff. But a lot of them can generate this type of critical information that if you don't do it, you might just be multiplying your loss. If you're not keeping track of your profit and you grow, you're just going to multiply that. This is the report center in Jobber. So, there's a lot of built-in reports. And this is the invoices report. This is the one in Service Autopilot, definitely way too small to see. But These are the built-in ones, but the advantage of Service Autopilot is you can then customize this stuff. Like Service Autopilot is just generally a lot more customizable, which comes with its own issues, but you can kind of get things more exact to exactly how you want them. And this is just an example of a custom report in Service Autopilot as well, where this is showing some KPIs, the revenue last week, budget hours versus actual, production by crew. So it's definitely good information you want to know. This can get emailed to you on a weekly basis. All this stuff obviously takes a lot of time to set up, but once you have it, it's pretty awesome. So everything I just went over, that's really just the beginning of all the CRM stuff, because this is the part I like, the automation part, which ties all this stuff together. So each event acts as a trigger. So if you think of something like when those guys are in the field and they complete a job, that's going to be a trigger. A job was dispatched, that's going to be a trigger. So for example, on the dispatch, the customer service automation, when a job is dispatched, that's going to be a trigger to let the customer know that that job is on the schedule for tomorrow. Estimate sent, same thing, that acts as a trigger for following up on this estimate. So this all is sending information, so it's basically if this happens, then that. A new lead created, same thing, that goes into like a sales pipeline where it's warming up the customer, it's telling them why they should work with you, why you're better than your competition, et cetera, while they're waiting for their proposal. So that's kind of what I already covered here. So each trigger can then create an action. So based on any of these things happening, we can send an email, we can send a text, we can create a task, we can contact client or employees, send a voicemail, or even mail a postcard. So I think I put way too many of these postcards in here because I was just adding stuff. But these are just some examples of ways you can use it. So this is an actual postcard. Actually, I guess I made this as a template just so I could put it up here a while ago. But this one is actually for employees. So the system isn't made to be used this way, but you can actually put in, you have our employment job application form on our website is connected to the system. So when someone applies for a job, they get a tag that they're a job applicant, and then we can send them marking throughout the year. So that way we're always keeping our employees lined up with our workload. So yeah, these are sent out all throughout the year. These people who have applied for jobs who didn't get disqualified based on the criteria, we're going to market to them throughout the year to make sure we always have staff. This is an example. This goes along with that. This is a text message transcript right here. So that highlighted in red there, this was a text message that was sent out automatically, and you can see how this guy actually said he wants a job, and that he probably wouldn't have been reached out. We probably wouldn't have gotten this response had we not sent out these texts to him. And obviously, he probably got the postcards as well. This I just threw on like an hour ago because I remembered I had this. So this is obviously very relevant. This is a gutter cleaning postcard. We started sending these out, I think, last year, year before. So we have a trigger for this. So here's the actual automation here. So you can see that gutter upsell right there. That's the inside of the automation. So I believe the trigger on this is job was completed. So we go out, we do gutter cleaning. We're trying to build some recurring work from it instead of just doing it, once in the fall. So on here, when the gutters are cleaned once, then this is going to happen. So it's going to wait a day. The client's going to get a text message making sure they're happy with the work we did yesterday, and asking if they want to sign up for a recurring package. And then they're also going to get sent this postcard as well. So once you set this stuff up, it just runs. It's awesome. This is the customer service automation. So what I found in this is when you reach out to a customer asking if things are okay, you get like one of three positive responses. Well, not necessarily positive, but positive outcomes. The first is they're going to say I'm unhappy, which obviously isn't good, but now you can address it, so it is good because otherwise you wouldn't have known. If they say they're happy, then great, they're happy, you can ask them for a review, etc. And then the best case scenario is they're happy and they want more work. So this is an example of an automation that went out. Those little question marks are the automations going out. And then you can see that they've actually requested additional work. And it just happens. This is just another postcard example. I think the reason why I highlighted this one was These go out, so they have a thing called in SendGym, it's called 5 rounds or 9 rounds. It's actually in Service Autopilot, you set it up, but SendGym has the postcards that actually go out. So however you do it, when you send an estimate out, investment's accepted, when the job's completed, you can mail these postcards automatically to the neighbors. So you're building route density without even trying. So these postcards go out, when we complete a spring cleanup, it goes to all the neighbors. So you can see how that would help build route density. Tying it all together, so you definitely can't read this one, but what I'm highlighting here is all these different automations. It's essentially having a conversation with these people. For the first one, the dispatch automation at the top there, you might be able to read that. But it's just letting them know they have a cleanup schedule at their house on this date. So that goes out to them. They then get, right below that, this is the customer service automation. They're saying, so they must have filled out a survey saying they're happy. So they're getting a text saying, I'm glad you're happy with their work. We see a $10 gift card. And then you can see he wrote the review, and then it's letting them know the gift card's on the way, and it's actually mailing them a gift card. So you can see how that all ties together, and it's awesome once it gets going. This here is just the inside of SendGym. You can see these are the things that are going on. Not sure if you can read this, but there's postcards going out, there's review postcards going out, there's client welcome voicemail. So what we have when we onboard a new client, it'll welcome them aboard. And the most powerful thing with this too is like if you do the owner's voice, they actually think that you're taking the time to reach out to them personally, and you record it once. Like we have some like ex-employees that I just haven't gotten around to changing, and they're like alive in the system, still leaving people voicemails. But why change it, But they're super cool. Just another example. This is just former client win-back. So these go out to any customers who haven't done service in a certain amount of time. These postcards will go out. This is the review postcard. So again, if they give a positive score on the survey, they're going to mail this mail this postcard that says free coffee on us. And if they, it tells them if they leave a review, gives all the links and all the back on here. But that will mail them a gift card. I already covered that. So these are just more of the triggers. So new quote. This is this is inside of this is with the connection with Jobber. So these are just the different triggers that can happen, and then the different actions that can happen based on these triggers. This is inside of Zapier as well, so you can see all the different integrations. So because they talk to each other, you can connect with Google Sheets, so you can have all this stuff. When something happens, then create a spreadsheet, or when something happens, send an email. So it's similar to Service Autopilot. You can basically accomplish the same things, just in a different way. But as long as the CRM's sending out that information, then you can then create an action based on it. MailChimp in this situation, in this example, they can also mail out postcards too. So it's kind of like SendGym. I've looked into it. They do similar stuff. This right here, this is the internal automation stuff inside Jobber. So as you can see, it's kind of limited. It is, and this is kind of their internal stuff. And you can do some stuff with it, follow-up calls. It's not as customizable, but it's simpler. So it really depends what you're looking for. But it's just another way. I'm just showing you that within Jobber, you can kind of do the same type of stuff. So these are just random quotes that I like that I threw up here. The hire slow, fire fast, different quotes. I don't even know where I've heard half of them. But it's just good information. The 80-20 rule, if people are familiar with that. But putting your effort into the 20% that gets 80% of the results, dropping the worst 20% of your clients every year. Keep it simple, stupid. Should have probably done that with this presentation. Too many slides on here. But yeah, just cool stuff. So here are these QR codes. Like I said, you should be able to scan with your phone, but you probably can't really see them. But they're on the app as well, with different links to, if you want to learn more about Jobber, we have a page up there, learn about Jobber, Service Autopilot as well, some information to work with us, and SendGym and all that stuff. And there's our website in case you can't get to the, can't access those QR codes. So yeah, that's it. How'd I do? Any questions? Yeah? How long ago? Does anyone have any questions on anything? No? All right. Yeah, oh, sorry, I didn't see you.
I thought I heard you say something
the takeoff blueprints.
Yeah, like what I've been looking for is someone to outsource my takeoffs to, so I just send it to them and say, hey, can you please run the takeoffs? I thought maybe I heard you do something like that.
You might have made that up. I'm not sure. Did I say something about that? Yeah. Anything else?
On average, if you guys, like, we don't use a CRM because we're dumb. So if I wanted to implement one in my slow season, I mean, realistically, I was talking to a couple guys here, and it was, yeah, you can implement it immediately. It takes 3 years, 2 years to probably get everything out of it that you'd want to get into it.
Yeah.
If I was to hire you to walk me through that, what's that training process like? How long are you typically with a company to onboard with them?
So it varies. We used to, what we tend to do now is kind of like weekly consultations. So, and that's some that work with us, that link right there. We have a video kind of explaining how we work together, but typically we'll schedule like regular calls. We'll discuss the priorities for that week. So if it's setting up your system, we'll do some stuff in the background. We'll run it by you and ask you, hey, is this what you wanted? Do you want to change this? Clients work with us. It really varies. Some people reach out to us, as they need stuff. Some people, I've been working with some people for like 3 years. They just like having us there. They don't necessarily need it. So it really depends on your needs and how much handholding you need or want. But yeah, definitely I would get it up and running in the winter time, and then that gives you time to learn, experiment, refine things. But yeah, it's an ongoing thing. Like I'm always still changing ours too, just always improving. But it's more just like maintenance, it's kind of like once you plant a garden, you got to weed it and stuff. It's kind of like that. I think I did it right on time. All right, thanks guys.